Sup, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. Check it out. Interesting story I came across. As you may or may not know, the four officers who murdered George Floyd are now getting ready to go on trial and stand trial for that murder. We're happy that that's happening, but as we've seen in the past, standing trial for something obvious does not necessarily mean that a conviction will come. So we, the jury is literally still out on that. Well, not yet. But what I wanted to talk about is because it's interesting because it's like you're seeing the four officers now do something what typical criminals are being have always been accused of doing or have always done, and that's starting to turn on each other in the midst of the fire. Derek Chauvin, Jay Alexander, King or Kong, Tu Thao, and Thomas Lane. Those are the four officers that were responsible for killing George Floyd. Now, those officers and their attorneys are starting to try to slide each other under the bus as it relates to what happened on that day. Um, and it's funny because Chauvin is saying, hey man, when I showed up on the scene, Lane and King were already there, and it looked like George Floyd was on something, and they didn't call the necessary people that could have come in and possibly saved George Floyd's life. The EMS people, they didn't handle that with the urgency that would have been necessary to possibly save his life. But this the dude who had his knee in his neck who's saying that. Then you got Lane and King. They were rookies. They're rookie cops. They say, well, no, we were just following orders from Derek Chauvin, who's the veteran cop. We just doing what we rookies. We new in the game. We don't really know. We just following his lead. So now it's all crossed up, and everybody trying to save their own skin because they are possibly officially in that hot seat now. The attorneys for the defense, the defendants, are trying to get the trial moved out of Minnesota, fearing that, hey man, this thing here, we might not get a fair shake, we might not get a fair trial and a fair shot at this thing. We need to move this trial out of Minnesota. To that I say, nope. You committed the murder in Minnesota. You did what you did in broad daylight on a busy strip in Minnesota with random people watching. So no, you need to be tried right there in Minnesota. Hopefully the jury selection is on point. Because again, I don't put nothing past these cats. And it's funny how they turning on each other now, and they got all these conflicting angles to it. And hey, I didn't do this, he didn't do that, he did that. I was here, I was just standing over there. But when y'all were out there doing what y'all were doing to George Floyd, y'all was in complete solidarity, complete unison that day. All of y'all was on point with it that day. One of them had the knee in the neck, one of them had the knee in the back. A couple of them looking out and watching, making sure everything is cool. Y'all would look like a well-oiled machine that day. Now all of a sudden, the house is falling apart. See how this go? They trying to lay it out. The attorneys for the defendants are trying to lay it out so they can get tried separately. Some of it for their clients. They're like, man, hey, don't try my guy with Chauvin, because he's the guy who had the knee on the neck. He may get whatever time. We don't want our guys who were just standing looking out to get the same time he got. But all of y'all are equally complicit and equally responsible. Because again, if you the good cop, why didn't you stop the bad cop from doing what he was doing if you knew it was so bad? I'll tell you why. Because you was in 100% agreement with it. You was good with it. Or you were just a coward. You might not have been good with it. You just punked out and let it happen. But whatever the case is, because I've been riding down the street before, 4 deep, and got pulled over, and regardless of what was going on, all 4 of us went to jail. We all went down. And I'm going to leave it at that. So they're now trying to set this thing up to give themselves an opportunity to possibly beat this case, and putting us in a situation where they're going to say to us that we didn't see what we saw on video footage that we saw. That's a mind trick that they're getting ready to try to play on us. We're hoping that it goes the other way. We're hoping that justice will be served, and if justice will be served, then okay. After the fact, hopefully the sentence is something that's acceptable for the crime itself, and for the family of George Floyd, and for those who got out there and were outraged and protested and stood on behalf of justice. But if not, I won't be surprised. But it's funny how these cats is all turning into rats and roaches now. And that's all they was from the beginning, was rats and roaches. And it's coming out. So let me know what y'all think. I know what some of y'all gonna think. Because y'all don't have a problem with George Floyd being dead. Y'all care more about a building getting burned than a man losing his life behind a situation that possibly, no, I take that back. Behind a possible situation that other people have been taken in without incident who have done far worse. So I'm going to leave that on your head. It's your big brother K-Rino, man. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't delete comments, so stop saying that. Peace.